Good morning, students of class 8B. Today we are going to start the new chapter of history, that is chapter number 2, growth of nationalism. Yes, we have decided to continue with the history because there are only 4 chapters in civics we have to read, and there are more chapters in history. So that's why we are starting the new topic, growth of nationalism. Yes, so what is nationalism and how nationalism arose? What were the factors that led to the growth of nationalism? We will discuss today. Yes, so nationalism is a kind of feeling, yes, like love, jealous. So these are the feelings. So nationalism is also a kind of feeling towards own nation. Yes. So nationalism is a strong feeling, a great devotion, a kind of patriotism towards our own nation is called nationalism. Yes. And we all know that feelings, ideas are abstract now. Yes, so we can also say that nationalism is an abstract idea, okay, which emerged at first in Europe. Okay, so nationalism emerged first of all in Europe, among the people of Europe in mid 18th century. Yes, as we all know that the first clear expression of nationalism, of this feeling, the first clear expression of nation, first of all emerged with the French Revolution in 1789, that we have to read in the chapter, in this chapter. Okay, so we can say in France in 1789 the revolution took place against the absolute monarchy. Yes, and with the uprising of 1789, nationalism and the idea of nation emerged at first in Europe, and then this idea also spread in the rest part of Europe from France and then to the other parts of the world. Yes, so and this is very important actually event. This is very important event of history. Because of this, because of the rise of nationalism, what we can see today, the different nations in the world, how these nations came into existence, how these nations were formed, this we can only understand by just understanding the today's topic, this chapter. Yes, because first of all feeling comes, and then this feeling emerged, arose in the hearts of people of France. Yes, and with time these feelings became a force which actually just swept away the political and mental world of Europe. Yes, so nationalism, the feeling converted into a force, and it just swept away the political system and mental world of Europe. What was the political system and mental world of Europe at that time, and how these sentiments, how this feeling, how this devotion towards our nation just changed the political system of the Europe, we are going to learn today. It is very, very important. Yes, so we all know that before mid 18th century in Europe there were many empires, there were many kingdoms like the French Empire, British Empire, Russian Empire, Austrian Empire. Yes, so there were many major European countries. Okay, and there were many European empires So all the territories of Europe were divided among some of the important empires. Yes, just take one example. In Austria-Hungary, there was an empire that was called Habsburg Empire, that we don't have to read in our book. Just I am telling you to make you understand. So Habsburg Empire, it was of Austria-Hungary, but in this empire, some states of Italy, some parts of France, some parts of Germany were included. Okay, and now we can see Germany, Italy, France, Austria, Hungary, all these are separate nations at present. But at that time, these regions were the part of just one Habsburg Empire. Okay, so here we can see that there were different ethnic groups. Ethnic groups means one ethnic group had the same culture, same historical background. Another ethnic group, another community, and their culture and history is same. So within the Habsburg Empire, there were different ethnic groups. There were different people who belonged to different culture like Italian, Germany, French, and Austrian. Okay, so there were no commonness among the people of the Habsburg Empire. Yes, and for the people of Italy and Germany and France, we can say the ruler, the king, was foreigners to them. So there was no loyalty towards the king. We can say because the king was not to the region of their, we can say. Yes, for Italian there should be a king of Italy, but the king belonged to Austrian Habsburg Empire. So that's why there was no loyalty towards the king, and because of different ethnic groups there were no commonness among the people. Yes, and within the empire there were different parts in which feudal lords, zamindars, used to rule. So we can say within an empire there were different, within a kingdom there were different parts, and each part was ruled by a feudal lord which had also set their own rules, own laws. Okay, so this kind of system were there. So there were no unity, we can say there was no unity among the people, there was no commonness among the people. Yes, and just comparison with the Habsburg Empire to any country at present of the world, just compare between these two. Nowadays, all the people who belong to the same nation, there is unity among them. Yes, they are culturally united. Yes, there is commonness among them, and a nation forms, nationalism comes only the first stage of nationalism. The first stage of nationalism, rise of nationalism is that, growth of nationalism is that when people start feeling that all the people who belong to the same nation, they all are one. Okay, when commonness comes, at the very moment the making of a nation begins. Yes, like all, we suppose we are Indian, so we don't differentiate among the people on the basis of caste and religion or region or language, whatever differences are. We just think that we all are one, we all are common, and when we started thinking, then the process of nation making began of India or any other country of the world. Okay, and we are talking about the Europe, the growth of nationalism in Europe. So first of all, this commonness with time came in Europe. Okay, and when this commonness came, then nationalism grew, and finally the different nations of Europe that are present today, they were formed after the growth of nationalism. Okay, so whatever we have discussed just that earlier, in Europe the whole territories of Europe were divided into different kingdoms or empires, and there were no commonness among the people. There was no loyalty to the leaders. But due to some of the factors that we will discuss today, actually paved the path of rise of nationalism among the people. Okay, and slowly and slowly this nationalism spreaded in different parts of the Europe, and people struggled, waged wars against the monarchy, against the kings, and finally they broke the kingdoms, the empires, and formed their independent nations. That's why I said that in nationalism, this idea with time, this feeling, this with time emerged as a force which changed the political system of Europe and mental world of Europe. It means people started feeling that they were not made just to be ruled. Okay, they are made to rule. Democracy is the rule of people. Okay, so growth of nationalism, in this way we can say that it became the force and changed the political and mental world of Europe. Yes. So how did this happen? Let's begin the first factor, emergence of new middle class. New middle class. We all know that who are called middle class. Yes, this is very popular and common word, middle class. So middle class first emerged in mid 18th century in Europe. Yes, and middle class at that time was comprised of different sections of society, like the professionals, like doctors, teachers, lawyers. Okay, and also the merchant class, the business class, the commercial class. Okay, these all sections form the middle class. Because of industrial revolution, we have just learnt in the previous topic, merchants grew in power, they earned lot of wealth. Yes, due to industrial revolution, cities developed, and cities professionals also emerged. Yes, and they also had some wealth, but these middle class at that time lacked power. Okay, and they wanted some power, political power also. And actually this middle class, this educated elite class started the idea of nationalism, gave the idea of nationalism in Europe. Yes, and then it spreaded among the other parts of Europe, among the other people of Europe, and slowly the idea spreaded, and finally they formed nation with the emergence of nationalism. Yes, so here we can say that due to emergence of new middle class in mid 18th century in Europe, they gave the idea of nationalism, and finally whatever we discussed earlier, how this idea finally became the factor of setting up of a nation. Yes. Next, liberalism in politics and economy. Liberalism means freedom. Liberalism is made from the liber. Okay, the root word is Liber means free and liberalism means freedom. So people at that time wanted freedom in polity and in economy. Freedom in polity, it means they wanted a constitution, they wanted a representative form of government, they wanted equality before law, they wanted right to vote. Yes, right to vote, right to be elected. All these things are called political freedom. And earlier it was not granted to the people, to the common people. It was only granted for the kings, for the dynasties, for some few families could only rule at that time. So that's why there, due to emergence of middle class, we can say the they give the idea of freedom, liberalism in polity. They wanted freedom in political system also, which was not given to the people, to the middle class or to the other common people. Yes, so this liberalism in polity, this idea brought nationalism among the people. People wanted such kind of things that we have discussed in the topic liberalism in polity. Yes, it also paved the path for nationalism and for building of the nation. Next, liberalism in economy, it is very important. Just we have discussed that middle class included commercial class also, business class, merchants. So economic freedom, we are going to discuss about freedom in economy. So what is economical freedom? Earlier we have discussed that in a monarch, in a kingdom, in an empire, there were different parts within the empire, within the kingdom, and each had its own administrative system. There were many custom barriers. Suppose one person, one merchant is traveling from one state to another state of the same empire, of the same kingdom, the person had to give so many times the custom duties. Yes, and in this and in different parts of the kingdom, the weight and measurement system, the currency, these were also different. So just we can imagine that these were the obstacles for growth of trade, for the growth of commercial class, business class, merchants. Yes, and if there is one nation, if there is one system of measurement, weight, currency, if there are no restriction, if the people did not have to pay several times of taxes as custom duty, how beneficial it would be for the merchant, how more benefit, profit the merchants can earn. And if these things are available, the merchants did not earn a profit. Yes, so economic freedom is also very, very important for the growth of merchant class. And merchant class was in middle class, they belong to the middle class, so they wanted economic freedom. So political freedom we have just understood, and economic freedom. So middle class wanted this, both these two, political freedom as well as economic freedom. And suppose if at present in our country, if there is one system like GST or one currency or one weight and measurement system, then if there is no barrier of paying taxes from one state to another, how freely people can move from here to there, how people can just sell their things into the other parts of the country and they can make a huge profit. Yes, and if there is one system, then only it will come not that this is just one country and this is our nation. Yes, because in one nation there should be just one thing, one uniform law and system. Yes, but earlier it was kingdom, monarch, and there were different kinds of system within the empire, and that's why there was no thinking of nationalism. There was no idea of nationalism. There was no dream of a nation. They were just confined to their respective regions. Yes, so liberalism in politics and liberalism and freedom in economic freedom, these two also became the factor of nationalism. People wanted one nation. Yes, and a nation can only be built if the feeling comes first, nationalism. Yes, so nationalism, when it will, the first of all the feelings is needed and then the action can be done. Okay, next, role of philosophers. It is very important. Without the philosophers, all things just we are discussing could not be would not be possible. Okay, so role of philosophers like Rousseau, Montesquieu, Voltaire. Okay, these were the philosophers actually give the idea of nation or freedom to rule, that is granted to the common people, separation of power. Okay, these kind of philosophies were given to the by the philosophers, and when the common people heard, when they listened to the ideas of these philosophers, this actually ignited the spark of nationalism among the people of Europe. Okay, and that's why they became courageous enough to lead the war against the established monarchy or empires at that time, which were very stronger. But when the ideas developed, when with time it changed into force, it was the same people of the Europe who were being ruled by the empires or rulers. It was the same people that who just revolted against the empire and changed their destiny. The empires were broken up, kingdoms were broken up, and they formed their nation. So it is the people. Okay, people makes the nation. Okay, and people can change their destiny. And when they just listen to the words of the philosophers, to the words of the middle class, when the idea of freedom of political freedom and economic freedom came, all things just changed, and in this way we can say the mental world of Europe changed. Okay, and these three became the factors of nationalism, and in this way growth of nationalism occurred in Europe in mid-18th century, and finally it gave birth to the nations in Europe. Okay, and in rest topic, the rest topic are American War, then French Revolution, and about Napoleon we will read in this topic. So till then, goodbye, thank you.